Snooker, Loopy, nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pot the red end, screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker, Loopy, nuts are we, we're all snooker, Loopy, bum 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 bum.
Hello and welcome to the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew and I'm joined here by my very good friend, the shoe, Joe Hannard.
Thank you very much, Tom, for that very flattering introduction. I am curious who the shoe is.
We can play a little game, shall we? Because this is it's according to Wikipedia, which we know there are some silly people who edit Wikipedia, so it might not actually be his name. But I'm going to tell you what, I'll give you 3 guesses, Joe. It's a former world champion at the Crucible.
Graham Dott?
No, it's not Graham Dott.
Oh. A former champion at the Crucible. Mm-hmm. The shoe. Judd Trump?
No. That would be good, though. He has pointy shoes, famously.
He has pointy shoes. The shoe. Right. Era. What decade?
80s.
Okay. It's not Dennis. Joe Johnson?
Yes! He's got it! Joe Johnson is correct. According to Wikipedia, his nickname is The Shoe.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm
going to have a quick Google of the phrase Joe Johnson the Shoe to see if we've been... We can't be duped by Wikipedia, can we?
Well...
That'd be the ultimate irony there, but... he had a strange choice of multicoloured shoes, apparently, at some point.
There you go. And we didn't have Rob Walker back in the day to come up with wonderful nicknames, so...
I mean, there is a video of him from the World Championship last year where I think it's Chris Wakelin, and after he comes out, he goes, Chris Wakelin, and Chris Wakelin comes out.
And look at those shoes.
That's it. Oh, look at those shoes, he says over the microphone.
So give it up for Chris Wakelin. And check out those shoes.
One nickname, Rob Walker. Do you know the nickname he gave to Jack Jones?
It was like the silent assassin or something like that, wasn't it?
I love the idea of Jack Jones being the sequel to Michael Holt.
Well, yeah, so the second Hitman game is called Hitman 2 Silent Assassin.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
They should play together in the doubles, clearly.
There you go. But how have you been holding up, Tom? Did you enjoy the seniors?
Oh, mate, I did enjoy the seniors. I mean, we should really quickly, before we get on to the past and the seniors, we should really quickly chat about the World Championship, the final,
yes,
which is a while ago when we released this, but, I mean, you don't come to us for up-to-date topical chat, you come to us for changing Joe Johnson's Wikipedia so he becomes the sausage shoe, let's be honest.
Oh, the shoe sausage. Yeah.
Whichever one you prefer, let us know below and we'll change it. What do you think of, because obviously, spoiler alert, people will know that Luca won the World Championship, and they started this new phrase of going, Luca Snooker, a bit like they did with Judd Trump and his naughty snooker. And it annoys me every time, because I'm like, no, it's just attacking. I mean, I guess they did it with Jimmy White back in the day, like Whirlwind Snooker and stuff like that. But it's just attacking snooker, isn't it?
It's a bit tacky, I think. A bit attacky. There you go.
They'll be using that next year now, Joe.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it's a bit cheap, that pun, personally. The Luca Snooker. What would you do if his name was Dave? Like, it's Dave Snooker. Of course you wouldn't. So, but I know Hazel liked saying it a lot. So, and we can't really say a bad word against Hazel. So, she is the GOAT of broadcasting. I wouldn't be able to name another person that is as good as Hazel at presenting a live sporting event. But no, I mean, it was a great few days of the snooker. Obviously, the comeback from Luca in that semi-final, then that match against Selby and Mark Allen, and I might have used this gag in the last one, but I was genuinely worried that their match would finish after the final. So
it did end up making Selby be quite tired, I think, for the first session. It possibly cost him the final.
Possibly. I think I'd said it quite a lot all the way through, really, that I think Selby was maybe getting further than his play deserved. I don't think he was playing that well, and I think Luca found him out a bit in that first session. I think as soon as Mark Allen started playing a different style of game, he started playing Selby off the table. It's a shame he left it until 16-10 to do that. I think had Mark Allen played at that style from the start of the match, I think he'd probably won quite comfortably. Would have probably been talking now about Mark Allen snooker.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, but still, still the way it goes on. 21 years without a final frame decider in the final of the Crucible, which is a crazy statistic.
I would argue that our best chance of getting another final frame decider is if it ends up being Xingtong against Bing Tao.
Yes, and if it goes 17-0 to Bing Tao, and then
the greatest comeback of all time,
and then 147,000 is placed on 18-7 Zhao, then 18-17, sorry. Then that's how we're going to get it.
He plays so well that Bing Tao loses frames.
Yeah.
But after the World Championship, Joe, we had the real big event of the season, which is the World Seniors.
It has been an event that I think a lot of people have taken the mick out of over the years, probably us included. But I think it's getting better every year. I think they're making more of the fact it's at the Crucible, which I think is massive. And part of me does think, though, that it would serve better as an appetizer to the main event rather than the come down from the main event, because I think that's what maybe people are done with the snooker by then, and they're like, I can't be bothered watching the seniors. But of course, where the lines get blurred is that you couldn't play it while the qualifiers are going on because half the tour are on the seniors. So
yeah, that would be a problem. I mean, you'd have literally Jimmy White playing a frame in the qualifiers and then going, "Oh, excuse me," and running off to another frame, another table to play in the seniors.
Or he's just left the arena and we'll be back with commentary when he returns.
Or Dennis was on commentary, but he's just gone off to take his shot in the seniors, and it'll be.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was nice to see some of the old players back again.
Tony Drago, especially, I would say.
Tony Drago, yeah, I was going to get onto that. Tony Drago was a pleasure to watch, actually, and did really well. And I do think, I don't think that he's finished as a snooker player. Actually, I think he could. I would love to see him get a wild card.
But the interesting thing about the World Seniors, with Jimmy White winning, and just by him reaching the final, is that it was his 6th final in the World Seniors.
Wow.
And that is as many World Championship finals.
Yeah, well, at least he's won 4 of them, though, hasn't he? And which I suppose he could have won, maybe 2 or 3 of the actual World Championships finals that he was in, but wasn't to be. Long way round of saying, my highlight of the World Seniors Championship was Tony Drago was on a 147, and I think he got to 72 or something like that. And that was just awesome. He did it in about 3.5 minutes. It was, I mean, to be honest with you, had he completed it, wouldn't have been far off Ronnie's record,
yeah,
I feel.
It was incredible.
So, I think that was absolutely the highlight of the whole tournament for me. I can imagine what your highlight might be. It might involve Alfie Burden, I'm not sure. But
After Jimmy White won the World Championship, Alfie Burden was interviewed by Rob Walker live on the BBC and the Red Button, and he said the phrase, and this will be the first, or technically it'll be the second rude word of the podcast history.
Oh.
He said the phrase...
What was the first?
The first was last episode where you told virtual Dave Hendon to piss off.
Oh, yes, okay.
I kept that in, Joe.
Did you bleep it?
No, I kept it in.
Oh. Oh, well.
I just want you to meet Dave Hendon one day and him be like, oh, you're that guy.
Oh, dear.
But yes, Alfie Burling just said, how he was a big fan of Jimmy, and then at one point he just said the phrase, oh, I fucking love you, Jimmy. And Rob Walker really quickly looked like he didn't know what to do, and he was like, oh, we really, really apologise for that. I think he called it fruity language or something like that.
Fruity language, eh?
And I was like, see, Alfie Burden, he gets the whole late night snooker idea. He'd be one of the first people on it.
Yeah.
Effing and jeffing.
Absolutely, and our pundits today are Alfie Burden and Luca Brissell.
And Dave Harold.
Dave Harold.
Because there was, in the first ever edition of the shootout, it was either the first or the second one, but one of the unique selling points was that the players wore little microphones. So
Right.
you'd be able to hear them react. And at one point, Dave Harold missed a shot. I went, oh, shit. And the referee had to go, Dave, you've got a microphone. We're going to have to warn you not to use that language. He went, oh, sorry like that.
Yeah, that's just funny. Yeah.
I would like to see someone play and commentate on themselves as they're playing. I think that'd be hilarious.
Well, Sean Murphy has done that on your channel.
Yeah, but someone, not me editing for a video that for some reason gets far too many views.
Yeah, I know. I imagine next year once we're the number one podcast in the UK.
Oh, I thought you were going to say number one snooker, but no, number one podcast.
No, number one podcast
in the whole of the UK.
Aiming high, yeah. But speaking of Alfie Burden, right?
Is there any other podcast in the country where someone goes, speaking of Alfie Burden?
Well, no, there isn't, because even some of the snooker podcasts out there, I don't think have enough knowledge to even know who Alfie Burden is. So,
well, they should be ashamed of themselves.
They should. But yes, speaking of Alfie Burden, what is your opinion on who has the right and who does indeed qualify for the World Seniors Championship at the Crucible?
Well, it's a really interesting event because, as you said, the standard is a lot better nowadays, but that's partly because they've changed what it is. It used to be very much a muckabout tournament. You'd have, Dennis would be playing it, and he'd be playing against Cliff or something.
Yeah. Well, it was called Snooker Legends, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
that's what it started off as.
It's changed into more of a proper event with like the Champion of Champions as the big carrot at the end, and I mean, it's a bit surreal, really, because you have, on one side of the things, you have the seeds who are former world champions, like a Joe Johnson, Stephen Hendry, Jimmy White, and then they're playing players like Ben Hancorn, who, plenty of listeners, even to this podcast, would go, who? Because he's not a name. He's someone who was professional for about 2 years. He's just turned 40, and he's a good enough player who's over 40 to qualify for this event. But
and he's outside of the top 64.
Yeah.
Because most of the tour are now over 40. Or at least, the top players are.
I guess what makes the event even weirder is the fact that there are so many players on the tour who are 40, or even close to 50, who are still in the top 32.
Yeah.
So it's a bit weird to have this separate seniors event. It's just like, it's just the former world champions and some of the crapper players over 40. Frankly, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, essentially. And I think it almost spoils it.
No disrespect for those players, obviously, because frankly, I like the fact that someone like Alfie Burden gets to play at the Crucible and get to a final. In a sense, it's like, fair enough, mate.
But that's exactly my point. Has Alfie Burden, in his career, earned the right to play the single table setup at the Crucible in front of a packed crowd? I would say he hasn't.
Oh, he's going to have some fruity language for you, Joe.
But you know, I think he's used the words himself. He's had a dreadful career. So, like...
Has he really said that?
He said that, yeah. He said, I've had a dreadful career. So to play Jimmy at the Crucible, whatever, you know, like, that's... Why is somebody like that playing in that? And I think there's one qualifier that gets the so-called golden ticket. And I agree with that. yeah. They even had an image of Willy Wonka's golden ticket on there. Right?
Is it Rob Walker dressed up as Willy Wonka?
I really hope so. But it might even be Cliff Thorburn, who knows. But
I've got a golden ticket. I've got a golden cue to take the shot.
Yes, well, anyway, that was the cue the music this week.
10 out of 10 from me, I think.
10 out of 10. I like the idea of the golden ticket. I think one of the spots should be for that. I agree. I do think the other spots should be, as you say, former world champions. Possibly you could say world champions from more than 20 years ago. So the likes of Graham Dott don't just turn up and smash everybody, you know, because that's what's going to happen one day. Is that, well, I mean, Jimmy White has won the event 4 times, and had he qualified for the Crucible and got into the top 64, he would have been ineligible to play in this year's tournament. That is how ridiculous it is. But it's going to be a matter of time before it is Alfie Burden versus Lee Walker in the final, and nobody's going to care, and that's sad, I think.
Alfie Burden would care, Joe.
Well, he would care. Or, okay then, Ben Hancorn versus Rodney Goggins in the final, right?
Oh, mate, we be front row. What you on about? The Wexfordshire sausage.
So, you know, I think for the long-term future of the event, because ultimately some of the players that did play in it, Cliff, John Parrott, Dennis Taylor, Steve Davis, they've retired from the seniors now. In 10 years' time, we're going to look at that event, and it is going to be David Lilly and Lee Walker and Alfie Burden and those sort of names, because by the time that's happened, Ronnie, John Higgins, Mark Williams, they'll probably still be in the top 64. So,
well, do you think with players like Dennis and Cliff and John Parrott and Steve Davis retiring from the seniors, should there be a seniors event for even older players? They're even further out of the top 64.
So Dennis, of course, retired years and years ago from professional snooker. Came back for the Legends. Played in the seniors for years upon years. About 4 years ago, I don't know, Dennis retires from the seniors and gets to parade the World Championship trophy round, all of that. And then earlier this year, back end of last year, there was an event called the 900, and I'm not sure if you remember the 900, Tom.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like an amateur tournament. And who plays in the 900? None other than Dennis Taylor. So he's already retired twice from it, and now he's playing in the amateur events.
Why, do you think they had to pay him a lot of money to get him in?
I don't think anybody was watching it for Dennis Taylor, to be fair. I think if you were going to watch the 900, you were watching it anyway. I mean, he won a couple of matches, to be fair, but... I genuinely reckon they went, we need to get a big name to promote the 900. And they went, let's see if Dennis will do it for about $1,000. And he was like, all right, I'll do it for $1,000. I'll do it for a round of golf.
We could role play this, Joe. So it's them going, oh, we need a big name for the 900. Ronnie's not answering our calls. Steve Davis has said absolutely not. Oh God, Stephen Lee, we legally can't get him.
Yeah, he's not allowed to play snooker.
Dennis Taylor, do you fancy taking part in the 900 event for amateur players?
Well, you'll have to play well, Hazel.
Is Hazel going to be playing in it?
Well, as long as I'm playing Hazel or Vicky. Actually, Vicky is a pool champion, so that probably isn't a good idea. Although pool's not snooker, let's be honest.
Dennis, what is
Yes, Hazel.
If you could play any pundit or any commentator or anyone else related to World Snooker who's not a current pro, who would you play and what would the score be?
Well, I'd have to go all the way back to 1985 and take on that old ginger nugget, Steve Davis.
It's weird, Dennis. You never usually mention that on commentary.
Well, it's an old memory of mine. I'm not sure if anybody remembers it, except Steve. He missed that easy black, of course. There you go. Cue the impression.
I don't think we got any response to that last time, Joe.
Funnily enough, I will say hello to him, Matt, who, I do talk to from time to time. He did say the impressions had him on the floor, so there you go. Particularly the John Virgo one tickled him, apparently. So there you
Dennis,
go.
have you ever had anyone on the floor?
That would be telling Hazel. No, I can't say that. I can't say that. What I was about to say on this podcast, Tom.
Dennis, how big?
No, Dennis is closed for business.
Dennis, how big is your queue?
Well, I waved it around in the air back in 1985 after sinking that little black ball into the hole.
Maybe we should just relaunch this as the Dennis Taylor podcast.
And I am quite fond of those two little Stuart Bingham balls.
I think we should clip that audio that you just said. We'll clip you saying that. We'll send it to Stuart Bingham and go, oh my God, have you heard what Dennis has been saying about you?
Please don't. Please don't do that.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely.
There you go. I can't even remember what we were saying now, but
I don't think it
anyway,
matters.
Seniors was good.
I had no idea how I was going to react when that black finally went in. But I remember stomping the cue first of all. I didn't know what to do. I was, but above the head, when it went in, just above there, I suppose a lot of people would do that. You see different sports that react a bit that way, to raise the two hands. And it was just one of those gestures, or three gestures that people still remember.
It is going to just be cue the DT impression now, isn't it? That segment. That's the Dennis Taylor, like the DDK, dreaded double kiss.
I think two of my favourite catchphrases are A, when Dennis Taylor goes, oh, that's the DDK, the dreaded double kiss, and he always has to explain it every time.
Well,
I love that one, and I love John Virgo's, oh, there's always a gap.
There's always a gap.
Apart from one time in the World Championship.
There isn't a gap.
Sometimes he goes, there isn't a gap. And then one time he went, oh, is there a gap? And then someone played the shot and he went, Nope. I know I usually say there's always a gap, but there wasn't a gap there.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was. It was something. It was this World Championship, actually. I'm sure it was. He went, I don't think there's a gap. Is there a gap? And then and he played it and he went, well, I would have said if there was a gap.
As if the player should have looked up and went, John, is there a gap?
There's always a gap. Yeah. No, I just love, speaking of JV, there was that monologue at the start of the World Final. That was just terrific, I thought. Hang on, where's the cue ball going?
I love how they... I mean, what is one of the most beautiful and wonderful results of the World Championship is that they've gone from saying this could be JV's last World Championship to having him open the World Championship with an incredible, basically spoken word piece for some reason. But B, they've said he's gonna be back
for the foreseeable future, which is much different dialogue, and Dennis as well. Apparently,
where's the JV going? He's going
where's
nowhere,
the JV?
mate.
Yeah. Is there a gap? There's never a gap. There's never a gap in my commentary.
There's always a JV in the commentary box.
Oh God! No, speaking of
cucumber sandwiches with plenty of salad cream.
That he doesn't even like, apparently. But
I think my impression's maybe a bit more David Attenborough, but I'll work on it, mate.
Maybe more like Jimmy Savile, to be honest with you. But anyway,
now then, there's always a gap.
Oh dear, this is going down a path I don't want it to go down. But anyway, I'm going to bring it back on.
Welcome to Late Night Snooker.
Snooker Extra. Oh dear.
I'm still less controversial than Jim Davidson.
You know what, Tom? You actually sound quite like the the classic matches on World Championship Snooker 2004. And there's like a guy that introduces it, and he's like, the 1940 World Snooker Championship final.
Oh, isn't it a guy doing an impression of Ted Lowe?
Was contested by Joe Davis and his younger brother Fred.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I was about to say, Tom, before we went on that tangent, because you were talking about favourite quotes from commentators, and one of my favourite is with Dennis, and there'll be a frame that's going on. It's quite a close frame. It's gone to and fro, and then they're playing some safety on the yellow, and he'll go, well, this is what we call a yellow ball fight. And I'm like, nobody has ever called it a yellow ball fight. This is what we usually call a yellow ball fight. And you can just replace it for any colour. It could be the brown. This is what we call a brown ball fight. Whoever pots the brown will win the frame.
That's not how snooker works, Dennis. Like, there's more colours after the brown.
But it's just, he always says stuff like that, like, this is what we call it. And I've never heard anybody call it that. It's like Sean Murphy, actually, in this championship. He was like, well, that's what we call the number 2 pocket. And I was like, I've never heard anybody call it the number 2
the number
pocket.
2 pocket? Where's the cue ball going? Oh, it's in the number 2 pocket.
I feel like that's the title of the podcast right there, the number 2 pocket. There you go.
Isn't that what Mark Williams says when he has to rush to the toilet?
Yeah, oh, God. Yeah, after a dodgy kebab. Yeah. Oh, dear. What we like, eh? What we like.
Oh, man.
Oh, dear.
Shall we do a bit of Cue the Music?
Oh, I thought you were going to say cue the laughter, and I was thinking, have we not just laughed enough for a bit? I mean, what you don't know at home is that Tom's just cut out about 15 minutes of us dying of laughter.
Joe,
No, he
I
hasn't
think
really.
you will know, if you've listened to the podcast, is I cut out most of the snooker chat, and it's just us Chatting absolute bollocks, frankly.
Wow, there's our third swear of the podcast right in there. We're not holding back now. Are we going to call this the Snooker Extra podcast instead of Snooker Loopy?
This is the Snooker Loopy. This episode is the Snooker Loopy Extra episode. What you don't know, listeners, is Joe's going to take his top off at the end.
I'm absolutely not going to be doing that. Unless we get 150,000 views on this video.
Come on, people, you can make it happen.
I'm not sure they'd want to be honest, Tom. Oh, dear.
But yes, which one do you want to do? Do you want to cue the laughter?
No, let's cue the music. Let's cue the music. We'll take a change of pace.
Well, I mean, this song might be very funny. I should say that. Because I've not heard this yet, Joe. I don't know if you have heard it. What excites me about this is that it's not an official song. It's not a song that's been released. And it is not a song that is by a snooker player.
Oh, Hazel. Oh.
It's not that song about Hazel. But we could have that song in future. There's a song about Hazel, isn't there, that some band did.
No idea.
Why do I know all this crap?
I really don't know. I thought I knew some pointless stuff, but
there's a song called Hazel Irvine by a band about how good she is at hosting.
Hazel Irvine.
Is that how it goes?
I don't know.
But I've sent you a link. This is just...
I was singing it to the tune of Come On Eileen, so... Right. Mark Selby Snooker Song.
It's just called Mark Selby Snooker Song.
Right.
We'll start it at the same time, Joe.
Well, before we listen to it, I want to actually read some of these comments, Tom.
Okay.
To see whether the song lives up to the comments. So, Natalia, with a big smiley face, says, "The best of the best, amazing, just great." So that builds it up quite significantly. Somebody else said, "Thumbs up if you came here via Eurosport snooker commentary." I think now somebody needs to go in there and say, "Thumbs up if you came here via the Snooker Loopy podcast." Anyway.
Joe, there's also a comment by Farting Penguin Production, and we know they know a lot about music, famously. And they just said, "Great vid."
Great vid. I mean, what's even more... Oh, no, I see it now. I was going to say what's bizarre, Tom, is I don't even see that comment in there. So I thought you were just making it up.
What a strange thing. Joe, everything we do on this podcast, we actually do.
Is 100% genuine.
Yeah. We actually do change the Wikipedia pages and probably get in trouble for it, but it's fine.
More on that soon.
But are you happy to play this song and see how it goes?
Let's go.
So we're going to play it. I'll play a clip in for the podcast listeners. But me and Joe, it's only 2 minutes long, so we'll have a listen in 3, 2, 1.
Snooker, snooker, snooker is the game. Let's watch him play. The jester from Leicester. Selby, 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 that's his name. We'll watch each frame. The jester from Leicester gets down on his cue, just watch him go. Red, black, red, black, red, black in a row. What a break, he puts on quite a show. The audience just stand up and they roar. Snooker, snooker, snooker is the game.
We'll watch each frame. The jester from Leicester. Should have edited in some Rob Walker in there, I think. The Mark Selby Snooker Song, composed and performed by Brian Klaas, 2010. So this was before he was even a world champion.
Yes, clearly it's an early fan of Mark Selby. But I will say that I had no idea if that was going to be good or bad. But me and Joe were both bobbing our heads along, having a great time.
You know what, Tom? That was an absolute cracker, as Dennis would say. I've even went on to this guy's channel page to disappointingly find out he's never done Stuart Bingham snooker song, he retired 11 years ago. He's not done any more since. Not snooker related.
Maybe we can bring him out of retirement.
And bring him out of retirement, yeah.
Bingham, 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 that's his name. He's got a hot tub. He gives his belly a rub.
Well, there you go. We don't even need him, Tom. We don't even need him.
I will say, Joe, if we do, and I hope we do, if we do eventually release Where's the Cue Ball Going, I would be very happy to have the Mark Selby song as a B-side.
What, our version of it? Yeah, I mean, it does say copyright Brian Class, but I'm not sure that will stand in a court of law. I think we could pass this off as our own work.
What, with such intricate lyrics like snooker, 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 it's the game.
Yeah, exactly. You know, hasn't Ed Sheeran just won a court case with all of that? I think we could easily win a court case for this one. But
for a second, I thought you were going to say, didn't Ed Sheeran write this song?
Yeah, he did. Well, it said written and composed by Brian Class. So there you go. You know what, Tom? That might be the best snooker song we've heard so far.
I honestly loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was great. And I'm just sad that it's not on... that's about Mark Selby. You know, it's a bit of a shame, really. But I'd quite happily have it on my Spotify playlist or whatever, but it would just be a bit weird to be listening to a song about Mark Selby.
I'm gonna do a call out on this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, what's his name? Brian, we would love to interview you on the podcast. And,
yeah, well, absolutely.
And find out
if anybody knows Brian
genuinely,
or wants to find him, because you seem to be able to, you know, magically change Wikipedia pages without us knowing. So please find Brian.
I would love to chat to him. Like to find out if Mark Selby's the only player he likes, or whether
he made any more songs.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of strange because this song, I don't think this song is on Spotify. He's presumably just recorded it for fun.
Yeah.
Which I love, but I just...
Yeah. I mean, it's had 9,000 views, Tom.
I mean, it deserves 100 times that, I think.
Well, yes. That might be pushing it a little far, but yeah. You know, I think he's done a great job with that, and you know what? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
I was thinking 9 as well, you know, so only below Snooker Loopy on our rundown of songs, because I think it's well sung, it's catchy.
Yeah, it's very catchy, because all I can think about is snooker, 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 that's the game. It feels very much of the ilk of Snooker Loopy, and I think that's what makes it good.
The ultimate compliment there as well. Watch out for the Mark Selby Snooker Song podcast coming soon.
Yeah, watch. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you watch this space, I think me and Tom will definitely do something at some point. Probably around a big holiday, I'm imagining. We can rival Lad Baby and Your Mates, which I'm not going to mention because they've got a rude name. But Your Mates and Lad Baby, we can rival them for Christmas #1 with Where's the Cue Ball Going?
But ultimately, we will lose to the Mark Selby snooker song now. We've created a monster that's going to destroy us, I think.
Well, yeah, we can call it the Luca Snooker song.
Luca, that's his name. You can just put anyone's name into it, it's great.
Well, I don't think you could put Tepchayo Nu's name in there, to be honest.
No, maybe not. But you could have Luca, Loopy, that's all we...
We're all Luca, Loopy.
There we go. Oh, he should release that. I don't know why. Most of these episodes have been us going like, oh, here's a weird song released by a snooker player, but I want more of them. I want a whole album.
To be honest, with what we've come up with, I think you could have a whole album of these snooker greatest hits, and I can imagine the TV advert for that.
Well, I've made a playlist of all these songs on my YouTube channel, and this will be, because we're episode 10 of the podcast show. I've not even said episode 10.
Wow.
That's impressive, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You know, I think this will be something that runs on and on. I certainly don't, I mean, you know, we might obviously evolve some of the segments over time as we run out of snooker songs, but I'm absolutely loving it, and I think every episode we're getting more and more responses from people at home, and I think that's what makes it. So if you are somebody that comments, thank you very much for that, because it does keep us going with it. And we'd just be having these chats anyway, so it's nice to put a little bit of an insight on some of the rubbish we talk about.
We'll also say that there are some snooker podcasts that just kind of, they appear in April and end in May over the World Championships, but we're going to be year round. We're going to probably do a Q School special before.
Well, we're going to be, like back at school, we're going to be picking teams again for the Q School, and I think last year we actually did reasonably well, and I think, did we get 3 or 4 each of the qualifiers?
Well,
so
you got Jensen Kendrick, didn't you?
I got Jensen Kendrick. I don't know how I did that. I was like, I think when we did one of our first podcasts of the new snooker season, and I was like, well, Jensen Kendrick won't have won any matches, and then I was like, hang on, he won his first round match. He's on the tour. It was a real John Parrott moment. I've never seen him play before, but yeah, is what it is. But yes, it is going to be year round, and I'm certainly looking forward to it and delving back into snooker past it. There's lots of memories I have for things that we can do Cue the Laughter for, and hopefully it'll bring back some of the people at home's memories as well. Like, surely we're not the only 2 sad people in the world that know all of these things, so
yeah, it would be a very niche podcast if it was just me and you.
Yeah, so do let us know if there's anything you want us to check out as well in the comments. If you found a weird Stuart Bingham action figure or something, then please, send it our way.
Will it be him holding his Bingham balls?
Oh, well, yeah.
Do you know, Joe, that Stuart Bingham can apparently hold something like 6 snooker balls in his hand, I think it was.
What you saying about the size of his hands?
Nothing, I'm just saying about the size of his balls.
Right.
He's got massive hands.
Where did you hear this fact? Is that a Guinness World Record?
Just a bloke down a pub, mate. Have you heard? Stuart Bingham can hold this... Oh, fair enough.
Because that's the topic of conversation at every pub around the UK.
Oh, I've just Googled Stuart Bingham balls. That's not going to help. Balls in...
What actually came up?
Oh, you don't want to know, Joe. That's for Snooker Extra.
Did it say safe search is not enabled?
It did. With a picture of Bingham just grinning.
I've just realised we could have had our logo as Stuart Bingham's head with Snooker Loopy on there.
Oh, I can't find it.
That'll have to be next episode's Cue the Laughter. You'll have to find it between episodes.
I found an article that says Stuart Bingham slams slippery balls at Crucible, so that could be the podcast title. Stuart Bingham slams slippery balls at Crucible.
Into the number 2 pocket.
I'm sure I saw something once about he can hold loads of balls in his hand.
Sure you did, Tom.
Snooker, snooker, snooker is the game. Let's watch him play. The jester from Leicester, Selby, 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 that's his name. We'll watch each frame. The jester from Leicester.
Shall we move on to our other hit section?
Well, we say hit sections, but nobody's ever said, "Oh, I loved Cue the Laughter this week."
Well, we like it, so that's fine.
We like it. It's a hit with us.
Now, for Cue the Laughter, this episode, Joe, it's actually a more modern item I've got.
Well, can I just stop you before you go into that? Because I want to do a mini Cue the Laughter this week. Switch up the format a little bit. It's just, obviously we've got a running theme, and we've not really mentioned it much today, but the players' nicknames having the name sausage in there. And it all started with Stephen Hallworth being the Lincolnshire sausage. Mm-hmm. So if you were listening to the last podcast, you will have heard us hilariously change Dominic Dale's Wikipedia page to have his nickname as the Space Sausage. Now, a couple of days ago, Tom, I thought, I'll just check if it's still there. What do you reckon?
Yes.
No, it is not there. In fact, we changed it, and I think it was on the 27th of April we changed that. By the 1st of May, there was a revision of the page, and it was an undone version, and in brackets, they called it vandalism. So we have been rumbled by the Wikipedia police.
I've got a lovely image of you in court, charged with vandalism because you changed Dominic Dale's Wikipedia page.
And I also changed. I also thought, well, okay, maybe Dominic Dale is famous enough to have somebody checking his Wikipedia. So I checked David Lilly, and you might remember I put that line about him owning or managing the South Shields Snooker Club, which he does. I maybe, over-egged it a bit, saying it was world famous, but he does manage that. And I said he once played on Table 1 alongside the incredible Snooker 19 YouTuber Captain Goodspeed. And,
which is all true. None of that was a lie.
Which is true. So, anyway, that's no longer there, and I had a little look, and it was removed again on the 1st of May by Snooker Sensation, whoever that is, who I think might have been the person that changed it to the Lincolnshire Sausage, Stephen Hallworth. So I'm not entirely sure, but it said unsourced nickname for that one, because I think we also called him the Tyneside Sausage. So, and then it said unsourced information regarding the the South Shields thing. So I thought, okay, David Lilly, World Seniors Champion. They're never going to find out about Rodney Goggins. So I proceeded, Tom, and I went on to Rodney Goggins' Wikipedia page, and to my dismay, he's no longer the Wexfordshire Sausage. And in fact, it was removed from... it was an undid revision due to vandalism.
Who's stealing all our sausages?
Well, exactly. And I want to know how... I mean, was it somebody listening to our podcast? There's somebody out there that is making players sausages, but there's somebody out there that is also reversing the sausage effect.
The sausage effect?
Yeah.
Are you saying this is a war of the snooker sausages?
All I'm saying is Tom, it won't stop us.
Well, do you know what is absolutely beautiful, Joe?
Yes.
We had a comment from Jamie. Jamie, thank you very much, who told us that Stephen Hallworth became the Lincolnshire Sausage on October 23rd last year.
Yes.
And B, I've just looked at Stephen Hallworth's Wikipedia page, and he's still the Lincolnshire Sausage.
He still is, because that must be his actual nickname.
He's the one sausage to rule them all, Joe.
If you go onto the history of that, and if you look at the 23rd of October, it does have that edit in there. But Snooker Sensation has been on this page as well, on and around that time that we were doing the podcast, 28th of April. So I think this Snooker Sensation person is genuinely listening to our podcast.
So do you think we're going to have to be a bit more secretive about it somehow?
Well, basically...
Because basically, Joe, I've just realised we've been broadcasting our crimes. But
what's the fun in changing players' Wikipedias without telling anybody?
Well, I do have another Wikipedia nickname to tell you I saw recently, Joe.
Yes.
Someone changed Alexander Ursenbacher to be the Swiss Roll.
Is that still on there?
I've not checked, but
I'm going on him now. Yes, the Swiss roll.
Is it still on there?
Yeah. We could have called him the sausage roll, though. Like,
I sense an edit coming.
no. Well, I'm looking at it. Snooker Sensation has not been on this Wikipedia, so this is going to be our test now. Everybody, let's keep it quiet as a podcast. We're going to keep an eye on Alexander Rosenbacher's revision for next time, and we're going to see if Snooker Sensation has gone in there and changed his name back. Or maybe he's going to join the cause and change it to the sausage roll. Imagine that as a plot twist.
I will say, actually, because I think I've heard Rosenbacher actually referred to as the Federer of the Bays because he's from Switzerland.
Yes.
And the Swiss roll is a much better nickname.
I agree.
The sausage roll is a much better nickname.
It makes slightly less sense, but yes. Only slightly, though.
I can't believe they found Rodney Goggins.
I know. It did make me think, though. I couldn't remember who the player was that you found last time that was changed. Or was it...
Oh, Ready Selted.
Ready Selted?
Where's Matthew Selt? Is he still Ready Selted? He is. He's still Ready Selted. Citation needed, it says now, though, so that's new.
Yeah, it says that about the Swiss roll, to be fair, so... There you go.
I mean, do you know what the incredible thing about nicknames is, Joe? Is that a nickname becomes a nickname if enough people use it.
Yes.
So if enough people do start calling Rodney Goggins the Wexfordshire Sausage, he will become the Wexfordshire Sausage because enough people call him it.
Absolutely, but what we need first is for him to actually get to television stages of the Crucible so that Rob Walker can introduce him as that.
That would be a dream come true, wouldn't it?
Well, I think we will have officially made it on the podcast if that happened.
I think so, yeah. I think so. It's just something about being named after a food that I think makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
Like the Swiss roll, the Lincolnshire sausage.
Yeah, maybe we should throw that over to the audience of come up with your best food-related. I can't have the word sausage or roll in it. Right, that's the one rule. You've got to come up with the best food-related nickname for any snooker player you can think of. It can be Ronnie O'Sullivan. It can be Fan Genji, if you want. Anything you want.
Bingham sandwich.
And we will give you a shout-out on the next podcast, and we will endeavour to change their Wikipedia to have that nickname.
I've just remembered a few years ago, and it's been long since changed, but I once went on Peter Ebdom's page and it described him as the most dangerous man in the world. Like he's a James Bond villain.
And little did you know then how true that was. Yeah, I mean, I remember, this will mean nothing to you, Tom, but there was an actor called Ward Bond, anyway, that we found quite hilarious at school.
Dad of Nigel?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not that Bond family, but he was just in some really weird roles, like the policeman or the friendly neighbour. Like that, those were his role names because he obviously wasn't very successful. But we changed his Wikipedia to say that he'd been in 100,000 films and he'd won, 3 million awards, and that stayed on there for a long, long time.
Now, this item, it is from 2020, and it's something I actually own. It was given to me by my girlfriend for Christmas, I think last year. And it is, I'll show you it, Joe, on the webcam.
Oh, wow. Snooker heads.
They're called Snooker heads, and they're from snookerheads.com. They've got a Twitter page. And what it basically is, it's a top trump game with snooker players.
That's awesome.
And they've got little kind of stylized designs. They look a bit like Funko Pops, I think, the characters.
Oh, that's what we need. We need some snooker player Funko Pops.
Well, this is the closest we've got at the moment. But yeah, it says Legends Edition. I don't know whether there's other editions. And it's got like Ray Reardon. There's little Dennis Taylor.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Maybe I'll send you a picture of that for the podcast logo or something so people can see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Steve Davis. And the stats are like break building, safety, potting, focus, panache, and winning. And basic.
Winning.
Winning, yep. Ronnie's only got 146 winning out of 147. But it's all out of 147, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Mark Selby.
Oh, yes, with his grey trousers.
But I think the best thing to say for this would be, if you want to see what they look like, is to look at snookerheads.com, because they're a really cool item. There's never been an actual snooker top trumps. I think I looked for it before on eBay a few months ago, and there's never been an official version, so it's quite cool to have.
But, that's awesome.
So it's not as much a funny item, but I guess we had the funniness with the Wikipedia stuff this episode.
Also Graham Dort is on there. I'm just having a flick because on their website there is a section that is all of the cards. I did worry for a second. Just get Stephen Hendry's card for me. I thought his right arm was a dog bone, just with the way it is, like.
Where are you? It does look a bit like a dog bone, yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah.
I like the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, black.
I mean, so does John Parry. He's got a dog bone.
I think Terry Griffiths does, and Steve Davis does. Peter Ebdon does. Peter Ebdon's got his famous blue waistcoat on as well.
But yeah, there's nice details there. You can tell who most of the players are. It came with a sticker that was a Ray Reardon sticker. Not a Ray Weirden, a Ray Reardon sticker.
Going Roy Hodgson there.
The one player it's missing is Stuart Bingham, which made me quite sad. So if you could release, if you're listening, Snooker Heads, and you could release just a version with 147 Stuart Binghams, that'd be great. And different Bingham poses.
I mean, it's made by somebody called Jim, so. Oh, no. What is it? Oh, I'm not sure now. But we have had multiple reviews here. Bought for partner for Christmas. He loved them and has already played a few times.
Was that my girlfriend?
Loved the addition of the sticker on the order too. Thank you.
I did love the sticker.
Is your girlfriend called Sophie?
No.
Then it's not your girlfriend. Came really quickly and great quality. There you go. Who knew? Right. Arrived in a flash. Excellent.
These could all be reviews of Tony Drago in the bedroom.
Oh, dearie me. Excellent product at a good price. Purchased as a gift. The recipient has been eyeing these up for a while, and I'm sure he'll be delighted. Oh, here we go. This must be your girlfriend. Such a brilliant idea. My BF is a massive snooker fan, and he loved this. Excellent dispatch. It arrived safely and has been greatly enjoyed with a very smiley face. Thank you very much.
That could be her. I don't know. But yeah, genuinely a really good item.
Well, the name's Lauren, so I don't think it is.
Unless my girlfriend's changed her name.
But there is somebody called Livy. It's like Vicky. Livy.
My
yeah.
partner's name's Livy.
Well, that was on the 25th of June 2021, so.
Oh, only it's a Christmas present, so she would have had to have ordered it very early in advance.
Yeah. There's Livy. Well, no, thanks for that, Tom. Something else for me to buy.
One of the first times on this podcast where it's been a genuinely good item that I'm like, I'd recommend.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Knowledge is power. Top trumps. Survival skills for adventurous minds.
But there we go, Joe. Have we got anything else to say?
I honestly don't think so. Other than, thank you to everybody for the support this season. I know we've done a few, obviously a lot more around the World Championship, but we have been chipping away throughout the year with these, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So thanks for the idea, I suppose, Tom.
Oh, no worries, mate. I've had a great time. And as Joe said earlier, if you have any other ideas of snooker songs or cue the laughters, because at the moment it's just me and Joe finding most of these. So if you know any that we might have possibly missed, I mean, it's unlikely because we know far too much. But
yes, I'm not sure many people knew about the manual of World Championship Snooker 2002
until now.
Before this podcast, yeah. It's quite sad, really.
Well, they know now, Joe. That's what we're bringing. We're bringing the magic to the masses.
We're bringing it back.
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I think it's been another cracker of an episode. Mm-hmm. We will be back before the end of the month because we will do the Q School special, which I'm very looking forward to.
Yes, me too.
Joe, any final thoughts?
Well, I'd love to find out if there's a gap, Tom.
There's always a gap. There's always a gap, Joe. Always.
What will be the gap between our episodes? There's always a gap. Is there a gap? Well, if there was a gap, I'd have said.
Say goodnight, JV.
Good night, JV.